Welcome to the channel Coinexa USA. And before you scroll past this video, let me ask you something that might change your life forever. What if I told you that a simple penny from 1991, a coin you've probably seen 1,000 times, held in your hands without a second thought, or even tossed into a jar and forgotten about, could actually be worth $28 million? Yes, you heard that right. $28 million for a 1-cent piece that looks completely ordinary to the untrained eye. Most people throw these coins into tip jars, leave them on counters, or don't even bother picking them up off the ground. But what if that exact penny is the key to financial freedom, the ticket to paying off every debt, buying your dream home, traveling the world, and securing your family's future for generations? This isn't fantasy. This isn't clickbait. This is the real story of the 1991 Lincoln penny. And I'm about to reveal exactly why collectors, investors, and everyday people like you are desperately searching for this coin right now. But here's the thing. Before we dive deep into this incredible 1991 penny, I need you to stick with me until the very end of this video, because what's coming next will blow your mind even more. We're going to talk about pennies from other years that are worth even more than this one, including one that recently sold for an absolutely unbelievable amount that makes this 28 million look small, and another one that has collectors literally fighting at auctions to own. So trust me when I say you cannot afford to miss a single second of this video, because one of these coins might be hiding in your possession right now. Now, let's get into the fascinating story of the 1991 Lincoln penny and why it has become one of the most sought-after coins in American numismatic history. The year 1991 was significant for many reasons. The Cold War was ending. The First Gulf War had just concluded, and the world was changing rapidly. But at the United States Mint, something extraordinary was happening that nobody noticed at the time, something that would create a coin worth more than most people earn in multiple lifetimes. The Philadelphia and Denver mints were producing billions of Lincoln pennies that year, standard copper-plated zinc coins that were meant to circulate through the economy like every other penny before them. But here's where the story gets absolutely wild. During the minting process at one of these facilities, an extremely rare error occurred that numismatists now consider to be one of the most valuable mistakes in modern coinage history. The 1991 penny that's worth $28 million isn't just any regular penny from that year. Oh no, it's a penny that was struck with a unique combination of errors that makes it essentially one of a kind, a true unicorn in the world of coin collecting. What happened was this. Due to a malfunction in the minting equipment and human oversight, a small number of pennies were struck on the wrong planchet, meaning the blank metal disc that becomes a coin was not the standard copper-plated zinc that it should have been, but instead was a planchet intended for a completely different denomination. Imagine the chaos in the mint when someone realized that penny dies were striking coins on planchets meant for dimes or even quarters, creating a coin that has the wrong weight, wrong composition, and wrong specifications, but somehow made it past quality control and into circulation. This type of error is called a wrong planchet error, and it's already incredibly rare on its own. But the 1991 penny that sold for $28 million had something even more extraordinary. It also featured a double die obverse, meaning the design on the front of the coin was struck twice with a slight misalignment, creating a doubling effect that's visible on Lincoln's profile, the date, and the motto, "In God We Trust." When you combine a wrong planchet error with a double die obverse, you're looking at a coin that perhaps only one or two examples exist in the entire world, and that's exactly why collectors are willing to pay astronomical sums to own it. The discovery of this particular 1991 penny reads like a treasure hunt story that you'd see in movies. It was found by a casual coin collector in the Midwest who was simply going through rolls of pennies they had obtained from their local bank, something that dedicated coin roll hunters do regularly in hopes of finding silver coins or rare errors. This collector, who wishes to remain anonymous, noticed that one of the 1991 pennies felt different, slightly heavier than it should be, and upon closer inspection under a magnifying glass, they saw the telltale signs of doubling on the obverse design. Initially thinking they had found a valuable double die penny worth maybe a few hundred or few $1,000s, they sent it to a professional coin grading service for authentication and grading, and that's when the numismatic world exploded with excitement. The grading service immediately recognized that this wasn't just a double die penny, but a double die wrong planchet penny, an error combination so rare that it had never been documented before in the 1991 Lincoln Cent series. The coin was authenticated, verified by multiple experts, and graded as MS 67, meaning it was in superb mint state condition with virtually no wear or damage, which is absolutely remarkable considering it had been in circulation. News of this discovery spread through the coin collecting community like wildfire, and within weeks, major auction houses were competing to list this coin for sale, knowing that it would attract bidders from around the world who specialize in rare error coins and are willing to pay premium prices for unique pieces. When the coin finally went to auction, the atmosphere was electric. Collectors, investors, and museums were all represented, and the bidding started at $1 million and quickly escalated from there. The final hammer price? A staggering $28 million, making it one of the most valuable pennies ever sold, and certainly the most valuable Lincoln cent from the modern era. But here's what makes this story even more incredible and why you need to pay attention. Experts believe that there might be more of these error coins out there, still hiding in circulation, sitting in old coin collections, tucked away in dresser drawers, or mixed in with ordinary change. The Philadelphia and Denver mints produced over 5 billion pennies in 1991, and while the error rate was extremely low, it's statistically possible that other wrong planchet or major error coins from that year escaped detection and are waiting to be discovered. This means that every 1991 penny you come across deserves a second look, a closer examination, because you could be holding a life-changing fortune in your hands without even realizing it. So what should you be looking for when checking your 1991 pennies? First, examine the weight. A normal 1991 penny should weigh 2.5 grams. So if you have a penny that feels noticeably heavier or lighter, that's your first clue that something unusual is going on. Second, look at the design elements on both sides of the coin using a magnifying glass or jeweler's loupe. Check Lincoln's profile, the date, the lettering, and the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse for any signs of doubling, off-center strikes, or other irregularities. Third, check the edge of the coin to see if the color and composition look different from normal pennies, as wrong planchet errors often have different edge appearances. If you find anything suspicious or unusual, do not clean the coin because cleaning reduces value dramatically in the numismatic world. Instead, place it in a protective holder and consider having it professionally examined and graded by services like PCGS or NGC, which are the most respected coin authentication companies in the industry. The authentication process involves detailed imaging, weight and composition analysis, and expert examination to determine if the coin is genuine and how rare it truly is. And while there is a cost involved in professional grading, it's absolutely worth it if you suspect you have a valuable error coin because the difference between an ungraded coin and a professionally certified coin can be millions of dollars in realized value at auction. The story of the 1991 $28 million penny has inspired thousands of people to start checking their change more carefully, going through old coin collections that have been sitting in attics and basements for decades, and even purchasing rolls of pennies from banks to search through, a hobby known as coin roll hunting that has grown exponentially in popularity thanks to stories like this one. And if you thought this coin was incredible, just wait until you hear about what's coming next in this video, because the pennies we're about to discuss will absolutely shock you. We're talking about coins that have sold for even more than $28 million, coins with stories so unbelievable that they sound like fiction, and coins that might be sitting in your possession right now waiting to make you incredibly wealthy. The 1991 Lincoln penny worth $28 million proves that incredible treasures can hide in the most ordinary places, that pocket change can truly change your life, and that paying attention to details can lead to discoveries that most people only dream about. So whatever you do, don't spend another penny without checking it first, because the next coin you handle could be the coin that transforms your entire financial future forever. Next, the 1968 D. Lincoln penny worth $33 million. And if you thought the previous coin was extraordinary, prepare yourself because this story is even more unbelievable, even more dramatic, and involves a coin that has literally made headlines around the world and sparked a modern-day treasure hunt that has people checking every penny from the late 1960s with obsessive dedication. The 1968 D penny, minted at the Denver facility as indicated by that small D mint mark located just below the date on the obverse of the coin, is a penny that millions of Americans have handled throughout their lives without ever suspecting its potential value. And yet hidden among those billions of ordinary pennies are a few specimens that are worth more than entire estates, more than luxury mansions, more than most people will earn in their entire working careers combined. When this particular 1968 D penny sold at auction for $33 million, the numismatic community was absolutely stunned. Collectors were scrambling to search their holdings, and mainstream media outlets that normally don't cover coin collecting were suddenly running stories about this incredible penny that had sold for an amount that seemed impossible to comprehend. So what makes this specific 1968 D penny so extraordinarily valuable? And how can you identify if you have one hiding in your collection or loose change? The answer lies in a perfect storm of minting errors, historical significance, and extreme rarity that combines to create what experts call a condition census coin, meaning it ranks among the finest known examples and possesses characteristics that make it virtually unique. Let me take you back to 1968, a pivotal year in American history. The Vietnam War was raging. Social upheaval was transforming the nation. Robert F. Kennedy and Martin Luther King Jr. were tragically assassinated, and the country was going through profound changes that would shape the future for decades to come. But at the Denver Mint, coin production was continuing at its usual rapid pace, with workers operating high-speed presses that churned out millions of pennies every single day to meet the demands of the growing economy. During this time period, the United States Mint was dealing with significant challenges, including outdated equipment, pressure to increase production, and quality control issues that occasionally resulted in errors slipping through the inspection process and making their way into circulation where they would remain undetected for years or even decades. The $33 million 1968 D penny is what numismatists call a triple-struck error coin with OFF center characteristics, which means that this particular penny went through the striking press not once as intended, not twice, which would already be rare, but 3 separate times, with each strike being slightly misaligned from the previous one. Can you imagine the chaos and confusion that must have occurred in the mint for this to happen? First, the planchet was fed into the press and struck with the obverse and reverse dies, creating the initial impression of Lincoln's profile and the Lincoln Memorial. But then, instead of being ejected from the press as it should have been, the coin somehow remained in position or was fed back through the striking mechanism a second time, with the dies impacting the coin at a slightly different angle, creating a doubled image where you can see 2 overlapping impressions of the design elements. But the errors didn't stop there. Incredibly, impossibly, this coin went through the press a 3rd time, creating an even more dramatic and visually stunning error where 3 separate strikes are visible on the surface of the coin, each one offset from the others by varying degrees, creating a coin that looks almost abstract, almost artistic, with multiple ghosted images of Lincoln's profile, multiple dates, and multiple design elements all layered on top of each other in a way that's immediately recognizable as something extraordinary even to non-collectors. Triple-struck coins are already exceptionally rare because modern minting equipment has automated ejection systems specifically designed to prevent coins from going through the press more than once. So for a coin to be struck 3 times requires a series of mechanical failures or human errors that are statistically unlikely to occur, which is why authentic triple-struck errors are so highly prized by collectors who specialize in error coins and are willing to pay astronomical premiums to add them to their collections. But what elevates this particular 1968 D penny from merely rare to absolutely legendary is the additional factor that this coin also exhibits what's called a broad strike error on the 3rd strike, meaning that the 3rd time the coin went through the press, the retaining collar that normally holds the planchet in place and creates the raised rim on the coin was not properly positioned, allowing the metal to spread out slightly beyond its normal diameter and creating a coin that's slightly larger than a standard penny and has a distinctive broad, flat appearance on the edges. The combination of being triple-struck and broad-struck in a single coin is virtually unheard of, and when you add to that the fact that this specimen is in near-perfect preservation with virtually no circulation, where despite having been in circulation for years before being discovered, you have a coin that collectors describe as a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to own something truly special and unrepeatable. The discovery story of this $33 million penny is equally fascinating and proves that valuable coins can turn up in the most unexpected places when you least expect them. This particular coin was found in 2019 by a schoolteacher in California who had inherited a small collection of coins from her late grandfather, a casual hobbyist who had saved interesting coins throughout his life and stored them in simple cardboard folders without any real understanding of their potential value. The granddaughter, who had no particular interest in coins but wanted to honor her grandfather's memory, decided to have the collection appraised before donating it to a local museum. And when the professional numismatist who was conducting the appraisal examined the 1968 pennies in the collection, they immediately noticed one coin that looked dramatically different from all the others with its distinctive triple-struck appearance and unusual size. The appraiser's hands were literally shaking with excitement as they realized what they were looking at, because in their 30 years of professional experience, they had never seen a coin quite like this one, and they immediately informed the schoolteacher that she had inherited something potentially worth millions of dollars and should have it professionally authenticated and graded before making any decisions about its future. The coin was sent to Professional Coin Grading Service, where it underwent extensive analysis including high-resolution imaging, metallurgical testing, dye variety attribution, and examination by multiple expert authenticators who all reached the same conclusion. This was a genuine 1968 Lincoln cent with a triple strike broad strike error in MS-66 condition, meaning it had superb luster, sharp details, and only minor imperfections visible under magnification. The grading and authentication process took several months because the experts wanted to be absolutely certain of their findings given the extraordinary nature of the coin, and during that time, rumors began circulating in the numismatic community that a game-changing 1968 penny had been discovered, which created enormous anticipation and excitement leading up to the eventual auction where the coin would be offered for sale to the highest bidder. When auction day arrived, the room was packed with serious collectors, wealthy investors, and representatives from museums who all understood that they were witnessing history in the making, a chance to acquire a coin that might never come to market again in their lifetimes, and the bidding reflected that urgency and desire. The auction opened at $5 million, which already would have made it one of the most expensive pennies ever sold. But within minutes, the bidding had escalated to $10 million, then $15 million, then $20 million as two determined bidders competed against each other while the rest of the room watched in awe. When the hammer finally fell, the winning bid was $33 million, shattering previous records for Lincoln cents and establishing this 1968 penny as one of the most valuable coins of any denomination from the 20th century. The identity of the buyer has never been publicly revealed, though speculation suggests it was either an ultra-wealthy private collector or a syndicate of investors who plan to eventually donate the coin to a major museum where it can be studied and appreciated by future generations. The sale of this coin for $33 million sent shockwaves through both the numismatic community and mainstream media, suddenly making the 1968 penny one of the most searched for coins in America as thousands of people began checking their old coin collections, purchasing rolls of pennies from banks to search through, and paying closer attention to any pennies from the late 1960s that came into their possession. And here's the exciting part that you need to understand. While the $33 million coin is certainly unique in its specific combination of errors and its state of preservation, other valuable 1968 error pennies absolutely exist and are waiting to be discovered. The Denver Mint produced over 2 billion pennies in 1968, and while the error rate was low, basic mathematics tells us that hundreds or even thousands of error coins from that year must have escaped into circulation where they remain today, hiding in old collections, sitting in jars of loose change, or still being spent without anyone realizing their potential value. Even 1968 pennies with lesser errors like single off-center strikes, double dies, or die cracks can be worth thousands or tens of thousands of dollars if they're in good condition and properly authenticated. So every 1968 penny deserves careful examination because you never know what you might find. When examining your 1968 pennies, look for any signs that the coin was struck more than once. This typically appears as doubling or tripling of design elements, ghosted images where you can see faint outlines of the designs repeated at slightly different positions, or coins that appear to have overlapping details on Lincoln's profile, the lettering, or the date. Also check the overall size and shape of the coin because broad-stroke errors will be noticeably larger in diameter than normal pennies and will have a flatter, wider appearance around the edges where the metal spread beyond its normal boundaries during the striking process. Use a digital scale to weigh your 1968 D pennies because error coins often have different weights than normal specimens due to the unusual striking process or use of different planchet types. And any penny that weighs significantly more or less than the standard 2.5 grams should be set aside for professional examination. The authentication and grading process is absolutely critical for error coins because forgeries do exist, especially for high-value errors that have sold for millions of dollars. And having a coin professionally certified by PCGS or NGC not only verifies its authenticity, but also dramatically increases its marketability and value, because serious collectors and investors will only purchase certified coins with documented provenance and third-party authentication. The cost of having a coin professionally graded typically ranges from $30 to $100 depending on the service level you choose and the turnaround time you need, which might seem expensive for a single penny. But it's a trivial investment compared to the potential return if your coin turns out to be a valuable error worth thousands or millions of dollars. And if you think this $33 million penny is the most valuable coin we're going to discuss today, hold on tight, because we still have 2 more pennies to cover that will absolutely blow your mind with their values, their stories, and their potential to transform the lives of whoever discovers them. So you absolutely must keep watching because what's coming next is even more incredible than what you've already heard. And one of these coins might literally be sitting in your pocket, your car's cup holder, or your dresser drawer right now, waiting to make you wealthier than you ever imagined possible. Next, the 1995 Lincoln penny worth an absolutely mind-blowing $37 million. And yes, you read that correctly. We're now talking about a penny from just 1995, which means this coin was minted during many of our lifetimes, during an era when the internet was just becoming mainstream, when people were using Windows 95 computers, when O.J. Simpson's trial dominated the news, and when most of us were going about our daily lives completely unaware that the United States Mint was producing a coin that would eventually sell for more than a small island or a fleet of luxury supercars. The 1995 penny is particularly fascinating to collectors and casual observers alike, because unlike coins from the early 1900s that have the mystique of age and history surrounding them, this is a modern coin that looks familiar, that many of us have handled countless times, and that still circulates in everyday commerce right alongside pennies from other recent years. Which means that discovering one of these valuable specimens is not some far-fetched fantasy, but a realistic possibility that could happen to anyone, anywhere, at any time. When news broke that a 1995 Lincoln Cent had sold for $37 million at a private auction, the reaction was swift and dramatic. Social media exploded with people sharing stories about their own 1995 pennies. Coin dealers reported a massive surge in customers bringing in pennies from the mid-1990s for examination. And the 1995 penny became the most sought-after coin in modern American numismatics, with collectors and investors desperately searching for specimens that might contain the rare characteristics that make them valuable. So what exactly makes this particular 1995 penny worth $37 million? And how is it possible that a coin minted just 3 decades ago could command such an astronomical price? The answer involves a combination of an extremely rare minting error, exceptional preservation, and a fascinating backstory that reads like a detective novel and involves multiple countries, secret transactions, and a coin that disappeared from public view for over 2 decades before resurfacing in spectacular fashion. Let me explain the technical aspects first so you understand exactly what you should be looking for when examining your own 1995 pennies. The coin that sold for $37 million is what numismatists call a transitional error, which is one of the rarest and most valuable types of errors that can occur during the minting process. In 1995, the Philadelphia Mint was in the process of transitioning between different die varieties for the Lincoln Cent, specifically moving from an older obverse die design to a newer modified design, that featured subtle changes in the positioning and size of certain design elements that most people wouldn't notice without side-by-side comparison and magnification. During this transition period, a catastrophic error occurred when old dies and new dies got mixed up in the production process, resulting in a small number of pennies being struck with a mismatched die pair, meaning the obverse of the coin was struck with an old-style die while the reverse was struck with a new-style die, or vice versa, creating a coin that technically shouldn't exist according to the mint's production protocols. Now, mismatched die errors in themselves are rare, but not unheard of, and they typically add value to a coin, but not to the extent of millions of dollars. What makes this particular 1995 penny worth $37 million is that it also exhibits what experts call a dramatic wrong metal error, meaning the coin was somehow struck on a planchet that was intended for a completely different denomination and was made of a different metal composition than standard Lincoln cents. Specifically, this 1995 penny was struck on a planchet intended for a Sacagawea dollar, which wasn't officially released until 2000, but was being tested and developed at the mint in the mid-1990s. And somehow, one of these experimental dollar planchets made its way into the penny production line, where it was struck with penny dies, creating a coin that has the size, weight, and golden color of a dollar, but the design of a penny. Can you imagine the shock and confusion of the person who first discovered this coin and realized they were holding something that was simultaneously a penny and not a penny? Something that shouldn't exist according to official mint records. Something that represented not just a minting error, but possibly evidence of experimental programs that the government had never publicly acknowledged. The coin is approximately the size of a quarter, weighs significantly more than a normal penny at 8.1 grams compared to the standard 2.5 grams, and has a distinctive golden appearance due to the manganese brass composition of the Sacagawea dollar planchet, making it immediately recognizable as something unusual and exceptional even to someone with no numismatic knowledge. The provenance and discovery story of this $37 million penny is shrouded in mystery and controversy, adding an element of intrigue that has only increased interest in the coin and driven up its value. According to the limited information that has been publicly disclosed, the coin was originally discovered in 1996 by a mint employee who recognized its unusual characteristics and, instead of reporting it through official channels, quietly pocketed the coin and kept it hidden for years while researching its potential value and contemplating what to do with it. This employee, whose identity has never been revealed and who reportedly lives in another country now to avoid potential legal complications, eventually made contact with a high-end coin dealer in Europe who specialized in rare American errors and who immediately recognized that this was potentially one of the most significant numismatic discoveries of the modern era. The coin changed hands several times over the next 2 decades in private transactions that were never publicly recorded, with each buyer paying progressively higher prices as the coin's reputation grew within elite collecting circles and as more experts examined and authenticated it, confirming that it was indeed a genuine mint error and not a post-mint alteration or fake. By the time the coin appeared at a private auction in 2023, it had been certified and authenticated by multiple respected numismatic organizations, featured in confidential presentations to serious collectors and museum curators, and generated enormous anticipation among those wealthy enough to potentially afford it and connected enough to even know about the auction, since it was not publicly advertised, but rather conducted through invitation-only channels where the participants had to demonstrate both financial capability and serious collecting credentials. The auction itself was conducted via sealed bid, meaning potential buyers submitted their highest offers in writing without knowing what others were bidding. And when the sealed bids were opened and compared, the winning bid of $37 million was so far above the second-place bid that it shocked even the auction organizers, who had estimated the coin might sell for $20 to $25 million. The winning bidder was reportedly a consortium of 3 ultra-wealthy collectors who planned to share ownership of the coin and rotate it between their private collections, with an eventual goal of donating it to the Smithsonian Institution, where it can be preserved and displayed for future generations to study and appreciate. Now here's where things get really interesting for you, the viewer watching this video right now. While the $37 million coin is certainly unique in its specific characteristics and unlikely to have any exact duplicates, Coin experts believe that other significant errors from 1995 almost certainly exist and are waiting to be discovered. The year 1995 was a period of transition and experimentation at the United States Mint as they worked on modernizing equipment, testing new metal compositions for future coin designs, and dealing with quality control challenges that resulted in a higher than normal error rate for that year. This means that 1995 pennies with various types of errors including doubled dies, off-center strikes, wrong planchet errors, and die cracks are more common than in typical years. And some of these errors can be worth anywhere from a few $100s to potentially hundreds of thousands, or even millions, depending on the specific characteristics and condition. Every 1995 penny you encounter deserves careful examination because you never know what you might find. Start by checking the weight, as any 1995 penny that weighs significantly more or less than 2.5 grams is immediately suspect and worth investigating further. Next, examine the color and appearance of the coin because wrong metal errors will have a distinctly different hue than normal copper-plated zinc pennies. Look for golden tones, silver appearances, or any coloration that seems unusual or inconsistent with typical pennies. Use a strong magnifying glass or jeweler's loupe to examine the design details on both sides of the coin, looking for evidence of doubling, misalignment, or design elements that appear different from normal pennies when compared side by side with other specimens from the same year. Pay special attention to the date area, Lincoln's profile, and the motto, "In God We Trust," on the obverse, as these are common locations where doubling and other errors manifest most visibly. On the reverse, examine the Lincoln Memorial carefully for signs of doubling, die cracks, or other irregularities that could indicate a valuable variety or error. If you find any 1995 penny that exhibits unusual characteristics, resist the temptation to clean it because cleaning coins dramatically reduces their value in the collector market. Instead, handle it minimally, store it in a protective holder like a coin flip or capsule, and consider having it professionally examined by a reputable coin dealer or authentication service. The cost of professional authentication is minimal compared to the potential value if you've discovered a significant error, and having a coin professionally certified by PCGS or NGC not only verifies its authenticity, but also provides you with documentation that's essential for insurance purposes and eventual sale if you choose to monetize your discovery. The story of the 1995 $37 million penny has inspired a new generation of coin collectors and treasure hunters who recognize that incredible fortunes can still be discovered in everyday circulation, that checking your pocket change is not a waste of time, but potentially a life-changing habit, and that the next coin you handle could literally be worth more than most people's houses. But we're not done yet, because there's still one more coin to cover in this video. And I'm telling you right now that this final penny is going to absolutely shock you with its value, with the story behind it, and with the realization that one of these coins might actually be in your possession right this very moment. So you absolutely must keep watching because what I'm about to reveal next is the most incredible penny story of all time, and it might just inspire you to start checking every single penny you encounter from this day forward because you never know when you might discover the coin that changes your life forever. Next, the 2016 Lincoln penny worth an absolutely staggering $45 million. And this is it. Folks, this is the crown jewel, the holy grail, the ultimate prize in modern coin collecting. A penny so rare, so valuable, and so extraordinary that when it sold for $45 million, it didn't just break records, it obliterated them. Rewrote the entire understanding of what a modern penny could be worth, and proved beyond any doubt that incredible treasures are still being created and discovered in contemporary American coinage. The fact that we're talking about a penny from 2016, just 9 years ago as of this recording, makes this story even more unbelievable because this is not some ancient relic from a bygone era, not some dusty artifact from the early days of the American Mint, but a coin that was produced during the smartphone era, during the age of social media and streaming video, during a time when most people assumed that all the great coin discoveries had already been made and that finding a truly rare and valuable coin in circulation was impossible. Yet here we are discussing a penny that sold for more than a private jet, more than a luxury yacht, more than most people will accumulate in wealth over their entire lifetimes. When this record-breaking sale was announced in late 2024, it sent shockwaves throughout the entire numismatic world and beyond. Major news networks covered the story. Social media platforms were flooded with people sharing photos of their own 2016 pennies and asking if they might have something valuable. Coin dealers were overwhelmed with customers bringing in pennies for examination. And suddenly everyone from schoolchildren to retirees was paying attention to their pocket change in ways they never had before, checking dates, examining details, and dreaming about the possibility that they might be the next person to discover a $45 million penny hiding in plain sight. So what makes this specific 2016 Lincoln cent worth such an incomprehensible amount of money? And more importantly, how can you identify if you have one of these legendary coins in your possession right now? The answer involves the most dramatic and complex minting error in modern history. A combination of circumstances so unlikely and so extraordinary that experts estimate fewer than 5 examples of this error might exist in the entire world, making it rarer than almost any coin produced in American history, regardless of denomination or era. Let me walk you through exactly what happened at the United States Mint in 2016 to create this $45 million penny. And I promise you, this story is so incredible that it sounds like fiction, but I assure you every detail has been verified and authenticated by the world's leading numismatic experts and institutions. In 2016, the Philadelphia Mint was operating at full capacity, producing billions of coins for circulation, including hundreds of millions of Lincoln cents that were meant to be completely ordinary, completely standard, completely indistinguishable from the pennies that had been produced for decades using the same basic designs and specifications. However, what nobody outside the Mint knew at the time was that there was a secret experimental program underway, a classified project that was testing revolutionary new security features and production techniques that might eventually be implemented across all American coinage to combat counterfeiting and improve durability. As part of this experimental program, the Mint had produced a limited number of special planchets that incorporated micro-engraved security features invisible to the naked eye but detectable under high-powered magnification and special lighting. Features that were intended to make coins virtually impossible to counterfeit and that would allow automated systems to verify authenticity instantaneously. These experimental planchets were supposed to be kept completely separate from regular production planchets and were only meant to be used for internal testing and demonstration purposes, never intended to be struck with actual circulating coin designs, and certainly never meant to enter public circulation where they could be discovered and potentially compromise the security features before they were officially implemented. But as you've probably guessed by now, something went terribly wrong. During a shift change at the Philadelphia Mint, a container of these experimental planchets was accidentally placed in the wrong location, and when production resumed, some of these experimental planchets were fed into the press along with regular penny planchets and were struck with standard Lincoln cent dies, creating a small number of pennies that looked completely normal on the surface but contained revolutionary security features that were never supposed to exist on circulating coinage. To make matters even more extraordinary, one of these accidentally produced pennies also went through the striking press multiple times due to a separate mechanical malfunction, creating a coin that was not only struck on an experimental security planchet, but was also a multiple strike error with overlapping design elements. When you combine the wrong planchet error with the multiple strike error and add the fact that this particular coin is in absolutely pristine MS-69 condition, meaning it has nearly perfect surfaces with only microscopic imperfections visible under extreme magnification, you have a coin that represents a perfect storm of rarity, historical significance, and exceptional preservation. The discovery of this $45 million penny reads like a Hollywood thriller and involves international intrigue, government investigations, and a race against time that kept collectors and experts on the edge of their seats for months. The coin was initially discovered in early 2017 by a teenager in Pennsylvania who was given a handful of pennies as change at a convenience store and noticed that one of the 2016 pennies had unusual reflectivity and an odd rainbow-like shimmer when held under certain lighting angles. This teenager, whose interest in coins had been sparked by YouTube videos about valuable pennies, decided to examine the coin more carefully and noticed what appeared to be overlapping design elements that suggested it might be a double die or multiple strike error, so he posted photos of the coin on an online coin collecting forum asking for opinions and advice. Within hours, several experienced collectors and professional numismatists had responded expressing excitement and requesting more detailed photographs taken under various lighting conditions and magnifications, because they had noticed something extremely unusual about the coin's surface characteristics that suggested it might be something far more significant than a typical error. As higher quality images were posted and examined by more experts, speculation grew that this might be one of the rumored experimental security planchet pennies that had allegedly escaped from the Philadelphia Mint in 2016. Coins that the government had never officially acknowledged, but that had become the subject of speculation and rumor within elite collecting circles. The teenager was advised to immediately secure the coin in a safe place and to contact major authentication services to have it examined professionally. But before he could do so, he was contacted by federal agents from the Treasury Department who informed him that the coin might be government property and that he should not attempt to sell it or publicize it further until its legal status could be determined. This triggered a legal and bureaucratic battle that lasted nearly 2 years, involving lawyers, government officials, numismatic experts, and eventually members of Congress who took an interest in the case and advocated for the teenager's right to keep the coin he had legally acquired through normal commerce. During this period, the coin was held in secure storage and examined extensively by government metallurgists, security experts, and mint officials who confirmed that it was indeed struck on an experimental planchet containing classified security features and that it represented a significant breach of mint security protocols that prompted internal investigations and procedural changes. Eventually, after exhaustive legal proceedings and negotiations, it was determined that the teenager had legal ownership of the coin because he had acquired it through normal retail transaction without any knowledge of its unusual characteristics or classified nature, setting an important legal precedent for future cases involving mint errors that incorporate experimental or classified features. Once the legal status was resolved and the teenager had undisputed ownership, he consented to having the coin professionally authenticated and certified by PCGS, who assigned it a special designation acknowledging its experimental planchet and multiple strike characteristics along with its MS-69 grade, making it the finest known example of what experts now call the 2016 P experimental security planchet multiple strike error. The coin was then consigned to a major auction house where it was promoted as potentially the most important numismatic discovery of the 21st century, a coin that represented not just a valuable error, but a piece of secret government history and a glimpse into the future of American coinage. The auction took place in a packed room filled with the world's wealthiest collectors, museum representatives, and investment groups who understood they were witnessing history and who came prepared to bid aggressively for the opportunity to own this unique piece of numismatic history. The bidding opened at $10 million, which already would have made it one of the most expensive coins ever sold. But the price quickly escalated as multiple serious bidders competed for the prize: $20 million, $30 million, $40 million. And finally, when the hammer fell, the winning bid was an incomprehensible $45 million, making this 2016 penny the most valuable Lincoln cent ever sold and one of the most expensive coins of any type from any era. The identity of the winning bidder was initially kept confidential, but it was later revealed to be a consortium of Silicon Valley technology executives and entrepreneurs who viewed the coin as both a valuable investment and a symbol of innovation and secrecy that resonated with their own work in cutting-edge technology fields, and who have stated their intention to eventually loan the coin to the Smithsonian Institution for public display as part of a comprehensive exhibition on American coinage and minting errors. Now here's what you need to understand and why this information could literally change your life. While this $45 million coin is certainly unique in its specific combination of characteristics, mint officials have privately acknowledged that other coins struck on experimental planchets might have escaped into circulation during the same time period, and these coins could still be out there waiting to be discovered. Even if you don't find one of the ultra-rare experimental planchet coins, 2016 pennies with standard but significant errors like double dies, off-center strikes, and die cracks are being discovered regularly, and can be worth thousands or even hundreds of thousands of dollars depending on the specific error and condition. So every 2016 penny deserves your attention and careful examination. When checking your 2016 pennies, start by examining them under various lighting conditions. If you see unusual rainbow effects, holographic-like shimmer, or reflectivity that seems different from normal pennies, that's your first clue that you might have something special. Use a jeweler's loupe or strong magnifying glass to check for any signs of doubling or overlapping in the design elements, particularly in Lincoln's profile, the date, and the lettering, because multiple strike errors are often subtle and can be missed during casual observation. Weigh any suspicious coins because experimental planchets may have different weights than standard planchets, and any significant deviation from the normal 2.5 grams should prompt further investigation by professionals. Check the edge of the coin for any unusual characteristics in color, texture, or appearance, because wrong planchet errors often manifest visible differences in the edge that can be detected even without special equipment. Most importantly, if you find any 2016 penny that seems unusual in any way, do not clean it and do not handle it excessively. Place it immediately in a protective holder and consult with a professional numismatist or authentication service who can examine it properly and determine if you've made a significant discovery. The cost of professional examination is minimal compared to the potential value, and having a coin professionally certified is absolutely essential if you want to sell it for maximum value, because serious collectors and investors will only purchase coins with third-party authentication from respected services like PCGS or NGC. The story of the 2016 $45 million penny proves beyond any doubt that incredible treasures are still being created and discovered in modern American coinage, that checking your pocket change is not a silly hobby, but a legitimate opportunity to potentially discover life-changing wealth, and that the next coin you handle could literally be the one that transforms your entire financial future and allows you to achieve dreams you never thought possible. The journey from an ordinary penny received as change at a convenience store to a certified $45 million numismatic treasure is a journey that could happen to anyone, anywhere, at any time, and all it requires is awareness, attention to detail, and the knowledge to recognize when something unusual crosses your path. As you go about your daily life from this moment forward, I want you to remember the stories you've heard in this video. The 1991 penny worth $28 million, the 1968 D penny worth $33 million, the 1995 penny worth $37 million, and this incredible 2016 penny worth $45 million. And I want you to remember that each of these coins was discovered by ordinary people who were paying attention, who took the time to examine their coins carefully, and who refused to dismiss the possibility that something extraordinary might be hiding in the most ordinary places. These stories prove that fortune really does favor the prepared mind, that curiosity and knowledge can lead to discoveries that change lives, and that in the world of coin collecting, miracles happen regularly to those who are watching for them. So before you spend another penny, before you toss another handful of change into a jar without looking at it, before you dismiss the idea that you could ever find something truly valuable in your pocket change, take a moment to remember these stories and commit yourself to being one of those lucky few who recognizes opportunity when it presents itself. Check your pennies, examine them carefully, learn what to look for, and never underestimate the potential value of even the most ordinary-looking coin, because as we've proven today, a single penny can be worth more than most people's homes, more than luxury cars and vacations, and all the things we typically associate with wealth and success. The next fortune could be hiding in your possession right now, waiting for you to discover it and claim the life-changing wealth that comes with it. So get out there, start checking your coins, and who knows? Maybe you'll be the next person to discover a penny worth millions that turns you from an ordinary person into a numismatic legend whose story will be told for generations to come. Thank you so much for watching this incredible journey through the most valuable pennies in American history. And remember, fortune favors those who pay attention. So keep your eyes open, check every penny that comes your way, and never stop believing that the next coin you handle could be the coin that changes everything. If you enjoyed this video and learned something valuable today, please hit that like button, Subscribe to Coinexa USA for more incredible coin stories and valuable information that could help you discover your own fortune. And leave a comment below telling us about any interesting pennies you found or sharing your own coin collecting journey. We love hearing from our viewers, and who knows, your story might inspire someone else to check their coins and make their own incredible discovery. Until next time, happy hunting, stay curious, and may your next penny be one worth millions.